everybody has a different vision of what that is. You know, like it's if you want to build a house, you're doing it yourself. You're going to be building a house. You're spending all your free time building a house. If you only go there once in a while because you want to hang out with your friends, well, you're building a house for the rest of your flipping life. So it's kind of like
what
that.
What if I'm building a vacation home?
But
for my friends.
Yes, yeah. But it is. So it is. So it makes sense that you do go all in, but you're just hoping your friends start to find a balance and realize that, you know,
right.
and stuff.
But
yeah,
at least keep in contact with them.
Agree.
I just have seen so many friendships dissolve because of that. And the other thing, and I'm not saying that it's ever happened to me, but the other thing that happens is then the friends start resenting that guy because they took her from you, kind of thing. Have you ever seen that?
Well, like, me and Patrick have been together for a long time. We've been together for, like, almost 25 years. So in the beginning, he would go out with his friends and I would go out with my friends. But I would only go out with my friends if he went out with his friends because I didn't want him having more fun than I was having.
That's true. Yeah.
So I was like, you're going out, so I'm going to go out. And he didn't like that so much because he could tell. It was just out of spite, basically. And, you know, also to have friends just to say you have friends. I mean, a lot of my girlfriends when I was younger, I'm just saying, like, they were single friends. I did not need to be hanging out with them when I was in a relationship. I just didn't.
But
so you kind of have to gauge it.
Good friends that you're like us.
But I've never had anybody like you, and I will never leave your side again.
Thank you.
Hey, what's going on? A little sister romance down there going on. No,
hey,
we do love each other.
I love her.
But in a relationship, though, too, like a true friendship is that, you know, you have to be comfortable, and where it is, and you pick it up where it left off.
Right,
you know, so you let that person grow, you know, and stuff, you know, to where I have a girlfriend, for instance, said we've been friends since we've been 13.
Is that the one that was just
here?
here?
She's in South Carolina.
Yeah.
And I mean, she got engaged 6 weeks ago, and I'm like, and everybody's congratulating her on Facebook. She didn't even call me, and I just right away goes, "What the fuck, Kay?"
Right,
like that, and everybody's going, "Congratulations," but just teasing her like that, and I was not mad. And
so that's why she came to see you.
No, she was coming over, but we just picked up, but she laughed, you know. But we aren't like that. We don't talk to each other every day, but it's this true friendship. So I know in this new marriage, it's probably even going to be we pick up where we left off.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But there's very few people you feel that way with.
Yeah, and those are your true friends. The other ones become acquaintances, you know. You know what I mean? It is.
And you outgrow friends, too.
Right, exactly.
And also, for me, Patrick was my best friend. He's always been my best friend. Since we met, he was my best friend. So I'd rather spend time with him than any other person anyway.
And in a relationship, you have to have. You can't rely on your spouse to be everything to you. That's just
right.
Not fair.
That's my point. Thank you. That's my
fair.
point.
They can't. They can't be your sister, your friend, your brother. They're your husband. You
Right.
need other people in your life.
Right.
You do. It just and that's that comfort level of where you're at. So it's not. They're not jealous of a friend. You know. I mean, because how many of you guys have male friends? I have male friends.
I do.
I do
but
too.
You know
and
what?
Chris
I
is
used
okay
to
with
have.
that. You know, I'm like, if you ever,
I have the same ones.
You know,
I have always had more male friends than female friends until right now.
Yep.
Okay, I actually want to talk about that.
in my life.
I want to talk about that.
All right, then.
So, yeah, I have male friends, but they're our friends. They're not my friends. They're our friends. Okay. I've always...
But before you were with Patrick, did you have male friends?
Yeah, because I always gravitate towards males anyway.
Right.
But the thing about opposite genders is I feel, and I'm probably wrong, but this is my opinion, that when you're together, if you're spending time together, it can evolve into something different.
It can.
Especially if you are maybe going through a rough patch with your spouse and that male friend is there for a shoulder to cry on. And that male friend, if he's single...
or not.
I was just saying, you're really reaching.
Yeah.
You're saying single. Yeah, no,
or not.
Right.
Or
but
not.
it's that whole thing. Billy Crystal and what's her name? That movie, right? Oh, yeah. Can men and women be friends?
Yeah.
I mean, eventually somebody's going to want to take it further if there's an issue with the spouse to begin with. So I guess what I'm saying is if I don't know. Yeah. I just feel like if he needs to hang out with a female and that becomes more important than hanging out with me, I got a problem.
Right.
But
yes,
but
I agree with that.
Something like that, yeah.
But
I got a problem.
Right, but a good friendship, though, is the same, and a good relationship is that anything I share with a male friend, my husband pretty much knows.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
for
That's
sure.
what I mean. So I'm not going and you know, like I don't, you know, like if I'm talking about Chris to Beth, you know, I'm just going, God, we've just been having a rough patch. Chris knows we're having a rough patch.
Right.
When I'm saying to Beth, Chris is no news to Chris.
Right.
So if I'm with some of my male friends, you know, and they say, how's Chris? I'll be like, oh, man, we just have a rough patch. He's not well, da-da-da-da. We're working on it or whatever. Chris already knows that. So it's not like you're going, like I would not, if I'm having trouble in my marriage, not that I'm not going to have my friends to support me, but I'm surely going to go see a counselor and stuff first.
Right.
To try to get us to get on the track as opposed to, you know what I mean, if that makes sense, you know. So
I don't know, man. I've always told him, I said, I don't mind if you have female friends, but I don't want you hanging out with them.
Right. But here's the thing. That's so then
Like all the
here's
time,
a question.
you know?
But
so
it
what
has to be
what
your
about
friends,
lesbian
too.
friends? What about lesbian friends? Because then that would be the same thing. So if you have lesbian friends, it could lead to the next thing because it's all of a sudden if
thought
you're
of
in a,
that.
Except that I'm not a lesbian.
However, you're
Okay.
not a cheater either. But you're saying that if the right thing was right and somebody shows you that intimacy level and that
Well, yeah, and
next
if you have
level,
that energy-
that attraction could be there.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah,
thing
so it
is
could be
not
either
to
way. So
let
for sure.
that
It's not
energy
a-
be there.
Right.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, it is. It's
But it can sneak up on a person.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it can
Boo.
sneak up on a
Yeah.
person.
Boo, I'm sexual energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
You scare the crap out of me. I'm
My
just
husband
saying.
has a bunch of girlfriends,
Yeah.
lady
Yeah.
friends. He works with women.
Right.
He is the very one of few
Yeah.
males working in an industry of women. And they go on a golf outing. Hey, let's all go on a golf
Yeah.
outing. I like to golf. So why am I not golfing?
Right.
Or, hey, let's go out dancing. I like to dance. Why are you not taking me? So why is it, if it's to the point of exclusion?
It's a different.
Right.
That's
It's
a different
Right.
story.
I'm talking about like, all right,
Yeah.
I agree with that. That's
Yeah,
wrong.
it is the
I think
exclusion.
that's
You're
wrong.
right. Absolutely.
But
I've always would like.
you
Chris to come
can't
with
go
me at all
because
times.
I'm going
Yeah.
with a bunch of
Yeah.
women that I know
Yeah.
from work. No.
No.
If Steve did that, I'd say, well, then you're not going either. But like I'll give you an example. My friend Dawn, we've been friends for longer than I care to think about. And he went through a divorce, and I went through a divorce, and we helped each other through that divorce. We've never laid a hand on each other other
Yeah.
than
Oh,
hug.
yeah. Yeah, like a brother. It's almost becomes your like I'm like a
and
brother
every
without the baggage of
Sunday
family.
we used to have liver Sunday and play cribbage in my
Yeah.
sunroom. And now I'm going down there to see them, and who am I going to hang out with?
Right.
Dawn. And Steve does not have a problem with that, but he knows Dawn.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And he knows our history. Now, if I was going down there to hang out with some guy I met online, that would be a little different.
Right. Right.
That'd be a lot of difference.
That
A
would
lot
be
of
real.
different.
But
Yeah.
he's my friend, I could say
No,
Right.
there's a difference.
That's wrong.
Yeah. I just say if they know who you're going with, and they're more than welcome to come. It's a whole different ballgame,
Right.
You know, but
Right, like he
I
does. Patrick has some very close female friends, and I'm okay with that. I don't
That
care.
you know?
Yeah,
You
that
know them?
I know him, and I'm not so close with him. So if he wants to go have lunch with him or go, hang out at the cousin's house and they're there, I'm not worried about that. But if he was like, every week, time after time, I'm just gonna go see so and so.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go hang out with her for a while. I
No.
would probably have a problem.
Right.
I'm not gonna lie.
Well, and more
I'm
than
not
likely there's
super
something going
secure.
on.
Right.
Yeah. It's
Well,
not
that's what
secure,
I'm
but there's
saying.
But
something, yeah,
and
yeah,
can't
too,
you
yeah.
kind of pick
Yeah.
up on that? I think you could kind of pick up on it,
Right.
I pick up on it real quick. I'd be like, I'm going to beat you down.
Even
No,
right.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Deb, even in your case with
Are
Don,
you?
I mean, you guys have this thing, and you've been friends for a long time, and even with your friend Don, if all of a sudden this starts to become a weekly thing, there's some red flags that start to
Right,
kick in, kind of
right.
going, whoa.
Right.
Hey, what's going on? Is Don okay? First of all, probably. I'm
Right.
sure your husband would go that route thinking, hey, is he having a hard time?
Oh, that's
Whatever.
true.
You know what I mean? But if all
Or
of a sudden
even
it
if I
becomes
started
this,
talking to
you
him
know,
all the time,
yeah,
it
well,
would be
like,
a little.
I love Pete. I have a good time with Pete, but if I start to spend every week with Pete, one day a week, I'm sure Beth would be like, what the hell's going on with you and Mitzi
Right.
that you're because we
Right.
don't. But if I
Right.
met Pete for a drink or something, I would be fine. Chris would be fine. Beth would be fine. More than
Right.
likely, I'd be Beth and Pete would join us. But you know what I mean? But if it became like this habit,
But don't
Then
you
it would be weird.
Don't
Yeah,
you
it would
be
be-
meeting
it's like,
Steve
yeah.
for a drink?
we already meet. Oh, sorry, Steve. Busted.
If you need to have a drink, I'll give you Patrick's number.
But you know what I mean? It's just like it just is like how does a relationship evolve and develop is the biggest thing. That's where it starts, you know.
I'm killing you, aren't I, Deb? I'm sorry.
She's laughing.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh!
It is.
Oh,
But I'm with you, Beth.
If I
The
would have
exclusion is
written a
everything.
script
It's
for
just
this
not-
show,
yeah.
this would not have been it.
True. So I have a question for you, Beth Trober, if this puts you on the spot, but it's just in general. So, back to the conversation we was just having after everybody went down the one rabbit hole. When you are excluded, or whatever, when it does bother you, what's the conversation you have?
I don't know if it's ever happened.
I've
never been excluded.
Yeah, but
There
you
you
know,
go.
but so
There you go.
Good.
so what is the conversation? How do you approach that without sounding like, here we go, quotes, I'm making quotation marks, like, oh, you're just jealous, or
Don't you trust me?
Yeah, all these typical things. Come on, you've known her. It should be fine. What bothers you now about her? And is it really something of us? Like, okay, I'm married, and if all of a sudden now I'm not married, does it change? Does the look in all the women's eyes change?
Yes.
All of you guys here, because now I'm a divorced woman, even though you know me.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still want me with your husbands? Interesting. I know.
I think we should take a vote. All those that want Mitzi with our husbands.
Hey, come on now.
Absolutely not.
You can have
Come on.
mine.
All right, thanks. No, but you know what I mean. And I think a lot of it comes to us, and like you said, our own happiness,
Right.
where we are,
And doesn't
how
it kind
healthy
of-
we are in that, as
Yeah.
opposed to looking at them to make that happiness and that security and who we are. We have to look at ourselves, going, wait a minute, I don't like this because
Right.
I am worth more. My value for me is more than what he's giving me, and that's. I don't know. That's a
That's an
And it
underlying
kind of-
issue. That's something that needs to be taken care of. That's
Right.
an underlying issue.
Yeah.
And it's all in the relationship,
I
because
don't
we
mean to
are
pick on
talking
you.
about relationships.
Just-
If
yeah.
I said to
Yeah.
Steve I was going to go have a drink with this doctor that's thinking about hiring me to do Reiki in their practice.
Right.
Job related.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know.
Right, but
might
some
not
men,
like that.
some men would be uncomfortable with that. But because Steve knows me so well, I think he would say go for
Right.
it.
And if he didn't, would he have the conversation? As
Yes.
opposed to
I think
that's
he
the
would,
Key. Yeah,
yes.
as opposed to just going, yeah, go ahead. And then when you meet next month, because you're getting closer to doing this business deal, and all of a sudden he goes, you're ready to sign the paper and go to work, and you go, I really don't like that dude. Never did since I met him.
Right.
And you're like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm working there. This is going to be a good thing, and you're all excited, and then you have this, 'cause
Right.
So it's the conversation that you have going in.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
and most men will deny it.
Yes.
Most men will deny it. They'll play the high card, like,
or
oh,
I
yeah,
can
go ahead,
tell.
like, yeah,
I
just-
can tell.
Yeah.
Okay, this
go
kind of reminds me of something. Like about 10 years ago, when my kids were little, my husband's a stay-at-home dad. So I was the breadwinner. I was gone, 10, 12 hours a day working. My husband's stay-at-home dad. He went everywhere with his kids. He got involved in this group at school that was all women. It was like a PTA, but it
Right,
wasn't a
right,
PTA.
yeah.
And it was kind of like that. It was like the volunteers at the school,
Right.
kind of thing.
Like the classroom parents.
Yeah. So he got involved with them, and he started doing play dates and going to the parks and stuff with certain ones,
Huh.
and meeting up with them to have their
Right.
kids play together. And I was okay with it for quite a while,
Yeah.
but then at some point I was like, I don't think so. I mean, it's okay once in a while, but when it became like that was his social outlet, and that was the only friends he had was these other, and it was two women in particular. I was just like, I don't know.
So
I
a
just
line
I
was
started
kind
to
of
get
crossed.
yeah, I started to get a little jealous, and I don't know if it was partly because I wished I could be there. Mm-hmm. Right, because I'm working,
yep.
and he's playing at a playground with the kids and
Right, yeah.
enjoying company of another female
Yeah.
while he's playing
Right.
with his kids, and I'm like, I just feel really left out of that. So I guess that was my own
That's
insecurities.
a tough one,
Yeah.
though.
And that's the self-esteem type thing,
Yep.
and it was my
Right.
own insecurities, and I was like, I really don't like that. I was like, I don't mind if you do it once in a while, but it's getting a little often, and I'm a little uncomfortable. And that was the way my conversation went with him, was that I'm getting uncomfortable.
That's
And he's like,
good.
well, you don't have to worry about anything. I'm like, that's not the point.
Right.
I'm getting uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I don't want to feel that way towards you. And if I harbor resentment towards you, it's
Then
only
it
going to
builds and
build.
builds. That's right.
So I would rather tell you right up front I'm getting uncomfortable so that you can do something about
That's
that
right.
now.
Yeah.
So that we don't wait and have an explosive episode, 3 months down the
Down
road.
the same issue. Exactly.
And was he doing anything? No, he wasn't doing
Right,
anything.
right.
But I was jealous.
Yep.
And I'm woman enough to admit I was jealous.
Yep. Yeah.
I was
Yeah, I
jealous
don't
of
think
his
there's
time?
anything wrong with that.
Jealous of his time and what he's